Hey, good morning. I'm Nathan Adamson, and I'm the CMO for RadTab. Our team is super stoked to be here today to forever change the way you pay your bar tabs in the night out. Imagine if you never had to wait to close your bar tab ever again. Let's dive in. There are numerous problems that we've all experienced at one time or another with bar tabs. The major one is time. It takes on average of 10 minutes to close your bar tab during high volume hours. Another inconvenience is having to sign all those receipts and remembering to grab the duplicate copy for your records. And good luck finding a PIN that works. But the worst is leaving your card at the bar and only realizing after you're already in your Uber on your way home. But there's just as many inconveniences for bar owners, such as dine and dashers, and cards being declined for having insufficient funds. Traditional bar tabs have been costing bar owners too much money for far too long, and you too much time. Our solution is RadTab, a mobile platform that puts you in control of your bar tab. You can open, view, and close your tab directly from your mobile device. But it's just as exciting for our bar owners. We eliminate dine and ditchers and increase chargeback protection. So what is RadTab? We're a PCI Level 1 compliant software. We integrate purely with the POS machine through a JSON API on the back of the house. Installation takes 3 to 5 minutes, and most of our software is cloud-based. All this is done with no hardware, no change in billing, and no needed training for bar staff. Bar owners want this. Our new native iOS app is super fast and secure. When you open RadTab, you have a map that shows locations around you that are connected. Select a location, and instantly your stored token payment is sent behind the bar. Order your drinks normally with the bartender under your last name. You can then view your tab whenever you want and close out and tip when you're ready. We'll email you a receipt from there. It's kind of like Uber for the bars. So our business model is very simple for users. We charge a $1.50 flat convenience fee at the end of every tab close. So whether that's $10 at Recovery Room or $10,000 at Club Marquee in Las Vegas, it's only $1.50. But wait, there's more. Our business model for bars is even more exciting. Over the last 5 months, we've built this really powerful dashboard that bar owners can access anywhere. This provides them with trends in their business, average tips, popular items, and who are their most loyal customers. So what's the market size like? Well, locally for just South Carolina alone, there's about 5,000 bars. Now, about 35% of those are a good fit for us because we're kind of geared more towards the nightclubs, lounges, and so forth. Our app user demographic is even more impressive, from the ages of 21 to 35, which kind of is all your college students and pretty much all of your Uber users. So our adoption strategy really is kind of omni-channel. But starting out, we really kind of start with social media with our targeted demographic online. And our offline strategy starting next month is going to be bar events and also endorsements. But I think as we start gaining traction, a lot of these other channels will start becoming a bigger piece of the puzzle. So our 12-month numbers after, with 23 locations, 17,000 users, averaging 3 tabs a month, gets us $326K, which 148 of that being net. As of right now, we're currently in 5 locations ahead of our projections. So the restaurant payment and food and bev payment space is actually very, very crowded, but that's okay. If you notice, a lot of these are more restaurant focused, such as Open Table and Resi, and then more bar and nightclub focused, such as RadTab. There's also other factors that come into play, such as do they use hardware, such as Bluetooth beacons. And also the biggest game changer for us is that we're the only company in the business that can use the venue's payment gateway. Meaning when a tab is closed, the venue gets their money automatically, and we get our $1.50 automatically. Kind of touching more on those competitive advantages. One of our things is RadLocation, which is our geolocation API software. That when you walk through that invisible perimeter, your tab is open, and when you walk out of it, you get a notification to prompt you to close it. Our Rad Split Pay is how we can actually, the second that tab is closed, the $1.50 comes to us, and the rest of the tab goes straight to the bar. It's still processed on the machine, so we're not using anything like Stripe or Braintree. Our Rad Fund Check is how we can do an authorization call. So we can make that call for any amount. This actually prevents cards from being declined at the end of the night. So even though the funds on the card might be 20 bucks, we can actually keep checking it as items are added to the tab and catching when it declines automatically, letting the user know and the bartender. We actually have already filed these patents. So right now, we just started our seed round, working for a $250K convertible note. A majority of all that money is going to be used purely towards user acquisition, as well as kind of continuing down our product roadmap. The team for RadTab is Sean Lally, myself, and Troy Simon. And thank you. Follow us on social media. Appreciate it. Okay.
Panelists?
So Nathan, you mentioned that you're kind of ahead of your projections,
Right.
customer acquisition-wise. So how many restaurants are you in right now?
So
Sorry, bars.
we're in 5 right now.
Okay. And how did you go about those sales? Were they personal relationships? Were they?
Both. We did about 6 months of a hybrid ionic test for RadTab. So the app was out on Android and iOS. So there was numerous bars down here that we actually stress tested. We had a bunch of friends tested. We had about 200 beta users over the 6 months and did a little bit over 500 tabs. So through that, we were able to kind of demo the software for them, and they got to see it for themselves and kind of got to build this trust factor with them. So now we're working with hospitality companies, right? So whether it's like Indigo Road or Holy City Hospitality or Charleston Hospitality Group, we're working with them because if you can hit one, you can kind of get all those venues kind of under that umbrella.
So when you get a new bar, do you integrate with all POS systems, or are there a number that you integrate with and some that require a more?
So when we integrate with the venue, we actually install a JSON API in the back of the house machine. So that back of the house machine is pretty much the brain of all the other terminals that you see like in a venue. So once we integrate with that, it disperses your payment. So it's available outside, inside, wherever there's a bartender, they'll be able to access your tab if it was open on RadTab.
And what kind of initial effort does it take to get that integration in place?
It takes 3 to 5 minutes, and we can do it remotely. We just send an email that has to be opened up on the back of the house machine. From there, they download it, and we're connected. Now, I will say this. Now, for other POSs that are a little bit more complex, there's some firewall stuff we have to go through, which might be another 10, 15 minutes, but we usually have that already taken care of before we start the actual installation ourselves.
Have you evaluated any channel partnerships with actual POS companies?
Yeah. Well, so to be able to install on these POSs, you have to actually be a third-party software provider. So that's kind of the initial step, right? And then from there, you actually can build it into like a partnership. Now, out of our competition, the only ones that actually have true partnership and not just license rights would be like OpenTable, Resi, or No Wait. So you got to be in a few million of like the users to actually get to the actual partnership level. And then from there, they actually can do the actual POS company will do the installation for you. It's kind of like it's an app that comes on a phone that you already buy, right? So, but yeah, we have the license rights for all the major POSs, whether it's Aloha, Dinaware, PosiTouch, InfoGenesis, all the big guys.
What's the initial interaction? If I'm using it, what's the initial interaction between me and the server?
Or the bartender?
Right.
So yeah, so if you open up the tab on your phone, right? So when you go to the bartender, you're gonna order as normally, right? He's not gonna ask you for a tab or anything. And let's say you wanted to get 2 IPAs. You got 2 IPAs, and he goes, great, do you wanna start a tab? All you gotta say is, I already have one open under Saul's. And he's gonna go turn around to his little terminal, which is an alphabetical order, last name first, and click on Saul's, open that ticket, put the 2 beers on there, and puts it okay, and then it's going to update in about 1 to 2 seconds on your phone. You'll see those 2 IPAs, like the actual items on there. And you can...
So it would go right in the queue with somebody who just gave a card?
Yeah, so it's exactly the same. So even our dashboard, one of the cool things we have is we actually can scrape for normal card transactions as well. So our dashboard doesn't just show RadTabs that have been opened and closed, but also normal card transactions, because we can still scrape for that first and last name. So yeah, the bartender would have no idea that it's a RadTab versus a normal card transaction if you already had one open and he thought another bartender served you. Now, we are thinking about just maybe denoting that it is a RadTab to have like an R, because if the bar is completely empty and you walk in and there's a tab open, it's kind of fishy for maybe a new bartender. Because like I said, there's absolutely no training for this whatsoever. So, because they don't have to do anything differently.
Have you measured or attempted to measure if you're reducing the sort of, it drives me crazy to see these guys staring into a computer to read stuff out for, 40 seconds. Have you measured whether or not this shrinks that?
Oh, yeah. So we shrink like the bar operations considerably. The first thing that we do is, because we are closing tabs out on the phones and they're not having to collect receipts, as well as, hey, do you want to close out? They can be serving new customers, right? So we can prove that we can, in peak volume hours, right, between like the hours of 10:30 to like 1:30, 30% more ticket transactions. But also, a lot of people think that when bars, when they do last call at 1:30, it doesn't mean they're done, right? They still have to do all the closing out, all the tipping out for the bartenders. What's neat about, because the tipping is already in the subtotal when we add it, they don't have to tip out the bartenders. It's automatically added for their employee number, whoever was serving you at that time. So we take care of that process for them as well, which is a huge headache for bars.
Have you thought about having a back end? You mentioned having the R next to that name.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought about having a rating, like on the other side of Uber, right? So if I'm using my Uber account, they can see if I'm a tipper, non-tipper, if I cancel a lot, whatever.
Yeah, that's what that dashboard shows. So if you go to Halls, if you go like 10 times in a month, we're going to see what your average tip was. We're going to see all the items you got. We're going to pretty much know everything about you. So there's a marketing strategy on the back of that, where venues, because we have a login with Facebook or a sign-up account with Facebook, they can retarget you later. Like, let's say that it's like, wow, this guy's been here a lot. We can send him an email and say, hey, here's 10% off you next time you come.
Well, I'm thinking about the actual bartender.
Oh, rate the bartenders. That's something that we've actually talked about. The problem is like these bartenders, if you add any more stress to them when they're really, really busy, if you and me had a few drinks and it's taken Susie a little bit longer to get our fireball shots, you're probably gonna be a 1 star, right? It's not like an Uber driver that's getting you from point A to point B safely. You're trying to get your drinks and move on.
So how long have you been doing the first 5 customers?
So since January of this year. There was 2 before that, but all 5 since January. And the reason why we haven't installed it anymore, it's kind of like a chicken before the egg kind of thing. We have to have our app completely done, because that would update we have to have those servers matching, obviously. So, and we're expecting our app to be launched in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll really be increasing those venue locations.
And what's the feedback been from the bars so far?
Good. Now, a lot of these bar owners are very traditional, right? So when you start changing these, they think they're thinking you're going to rob them at first, right? You got 2 young guys coming in saying, hey, we have this technology. But once you really get to lay everything out on paper for them, and they find out that the chargeback protections, like this is way more secure than a signed receipt, an X and stuff like that, they really start getting it. And they really, they're like, hey, this is something that we can use. This is going to be, as a bar owner, less headache for me. So at first it was really difficult to kind of sell this product. But once we had a demo of it and they were able to actually use it and put it in their hands, they got it. So.
Yeah, I would just commend you guys for, I think I like seeing the head of marketing presenting. All too often we see the CEO, founder, will not give up that light, and he may not be the best, or she might not be the best presenter. So I give you a lot of credit for that. Usually the marketing guys are better at presenting anyway.
One more really quick one. Yeah.
Sure.
Who would want to acquire you?
So actually, it would probably be one of these reservation type companies, right? That's a really hot model right now for these businesses, such as like OpenTable and Resi and No Wait. They're trying to get into the payment thing, which is fine, because they're doing it where it's pay at the table, meaning you have to have a reservation, you have to sit at that actual seat or that actual table that they have you logged in, and then that actually connects your table number with your card number. So they haven't been able to figure out this bar model, like for clubs and stuff, where there is no assigned seats, where it's just walk up, you walk wherever there's an open spot at the bar. I think they're going to think that's really interesting, especially the way that we can process it just, on the actual machine. I think that's going to be the big game changer for them. So I would say somebody like Resi would be, I think, a good acquirer. Cool. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.